When is Donnie Freeman going to return?
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And folks, this is a mini podcast, and we are going to talk all about Donnie Freeman on this one, all right? Because he's currently going through an injury. When can we expect him to come back? And can Syracuse win without the star freshman? Also, I just want to point out that later on in the day at 6 p.m. Eastern, there will be a full podcast. We're going to talk about the starting quarterbacks for Syracuse football, so stick around later for that as well. But for now, let's talk about Donnie Freeman, and let's go over the backstory. Let's go over the timeline for you all, okay? So Donnie Freeman, Syracuse's highest-ranked recruit since Carmelo Anthony in 2002. He's having a good year, averaging over 13 points, 8 rebounds a game, but he has not played since January 4th. That was the Florida State game. Now, before the Georgia Tech game, which was on January 7th, the university put out a statement about Donnie Freeman saying that Donnie Freeman was going to be day-to-day with a lower right leg injury. Now, obviously, since then, he has been out for over 2 weeks. Clearly, this was not a day-to-day injury, all right? But that's a discussion for another day, for another time. He has also been in a boot for every single game since that time where he was announced that he was going to be out. Here's what's going on now, all right? Here is the latest with Donnie Freeman. Syracuse.com did a piece on him yesterday, and we got some updates from Syracuse head coach Adrian Autry. And I got some important quotes that I want to share with you all from that article. And by the way, I will put that article pinned in the comments section below so you can read that as well, okay? So here's what Adrian Autry said on Donnie Freeman's return. Quote, "It's always his decision. It'll be his call, him and his family, his camp." Adrian Autry went on to say on what he's doing right now. He's doing some stuff, non-weight bearing stuff like that, nothing too rigorous right now. Here are my thoughts on what Adrian Autry said, all right? Here's like the number one thing. I don't even think Adrian Autry knows when Donnie Freeman is going to come back. Look, I want him to come back. I can't tell you when. No reporter can tell you when. And Adrian Autry doesn't seem like knows when he's going to come back. And Adrian Autry in these quotes, it seems like he's kind of contradicting himself. Because he's saying on one hand that Donnie's return is really up to him. And on the other hand, he's saying that he's not doing anything too rigorous right now. Now, usually when you are recovering from an injury, you ramp up the activity as you get closer to a return. So if Donnie Freeman isn't doing anything that quote unquote rigorous right now, it leads, I guess, myself to believe that this is going to drag on longer than we would like. And he was originally listed as day-to-day all the way back in January 7th. So who knows? I would love for him to come back tomorrow against Clemson. That would certainly help Syracuse out a ton against a really tough Clemson Tigers team. But on the other hand, we don't know when he's going to come back. There are probably some of you all who are watching or listening to this podcast who have also brought it to my attention on social media, saying that this could be about NIL. And while I disagree, for those that say this is about NIL, I do think this is a legitimate injury. Donnie Freeman has been in a boot this entire time. It does leave questions because this has been really vague. So hopefully he is back soon. I want him to be back soon, but right now we have no idea. He could be back tomorrow against Clemson and we'll all be happy, or he could be out another couple of weeks with a lower right leg injury. So who knows? But the bottom line of what Adrian Autry said, it's going to be Donnie Freeman's decision on when he wants to come back. It'll be his call, in that he's not doing anything too rigorous right now, using Adrian Autry's words, not mine. All right. I'm Jackson Holzer. This is Locked On Syracuse. That's the latest with Donnie Freeman and his lower right leg injury. Now coming up, can Syracuse basketball win without Donnie Freeman? Stick with me here on Locked On Syracuse. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is so easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly, no waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. This message is brought to you by Prizepicks, the place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings, Prizepicks has changed the game in daily fantasy sports. Whether it's the playoffs or regular season, Prizepicks has made it easier than ever to win big while enjoying all the football action. Now it's playoff time, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prizepicks. Here's how it works. You simply pick more or less on at least two players, and if your picks hit, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Yes, that's right, 1,000 times your money just by making a few simple picks. It's fun to predict and easy to play. Plus, with Prizepicks Flex Play, you can still double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. And with the app, you get your winnings fast, sometimes in as little as 15 minutes. Ready to run your game this football season? Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 just for playing. Don't wait. Take your game to the next level with Prizepicks. Prizepicks, run your game. Does Donnie Freeman make Syracuse a better basketball team? Of course he does. He averages 13 points and 8 rebounds, and he's also statistically Syracuse's best three-point shooter. So no doubt, the Orange are a better team without Donnie Freeman. But can they win without Donnie Freeman? That answer is actually yes. Since Donnie Freeman has been out with his lower right leg injury, the Orange have played 4 games, and the Orange are 3-1 in that stretch. That's pretty good. Wouldn't you agree? 3-1 without Donnie Freeman? You'd certainly take that, right? And the one loss came against Louisville. And with all due respect to Donnie Freeman and to Syracuse basketball, I think even if Donnie Freeman is healthy for that game, I don't think he changes the outcome of that game. I really don't. Louisville is just on an absolute roll, and they look like they're going to go right into the NCAA tournament at large with no questions asked. They are a really, really good basketball team. So I don't think Donnie Freeman necessarily changes the outcome of that game. Now, the reason why Syracuse basketball has been winning without Donnie and why they can still win even without Donnie Freeman in the lineup, but we don't know when he is going to come back. The reason why they can win is because they are deeper in the front court. They are. They have Jyare Davis, who's filling in as the starting power forward. They have Eddie Lampkin still as the starting center. Peter Majstorovic can give him good minutes off the bench. They have Lucas Taylor currently playing in the front court, but he can also play in the back court as well. And Chris Bell, for what it's worth, is also in the front court. So they have a lot more players that can play in the front court. Now, if you compare it to J.J. Starling, when he was out with his injury, when he broke his left hand in practice, right? J.J. Starling is the only irreplaceable player, in my opinion, on the team. And it comes down to the fact that Syracuse just has a lot less depth in the backcourt. Outside of J.J. Starling, who do the Orange really have in the backcourt? Who do they have, right? Kyle Cuff? Okay, I mean, Kyle Cuff, I like him. He's certainly grown on me as this season has gone along, but Kyle Cuff is he's not a number 2 player in any backcourt, really, okay? He could be a good player off the bench in my mind, but he's not a number 2, right? But he might be Syracuse basketball's second best player in the backcourt. Then you got Jaquan Carlos. Then you got Choppa Moore. We like Choppa Moore's upside, but we know what his downside is as well. So overall, when Syracuse was without J.J. Starling, they could not replace him in the backcourt. That's just due to roster construction. But with Donnie Freeman out of the lineup, you look at Syracuse's front court, and while it does take a hit, they still have Jyare Davis who can play, still got Eddie Lampkin in the lineup, and they still have a number of guys who can come off the bench and at least be serviceable. So can the Orange win without Donnie Freeman? The answer so far has been yes, they can win. And I think they can continue to beat, I guess, the inferior teams without Donnie. Now, the question will become, can they beat teams that are better than Syracuse without Donnie Freeman? That's really where the question lies. I guess hopefully we can find out tomorrow against Clemson one way or another, right? Because if Donnie Freeman's back against Clemson, I think that gives him a better chance of winning. And if he's not in the lineup, we'll see how they look without him. But overall, the real test will come in how Syracuse handles Clemson tomorrow. So as far as what is coming up on the podcast in the future, tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, there will be a full podcast. We're going to talk about the starting quarterback potential with Syracuse football. There's 4 to 5 players who got a chance, in my mind, to start a quarterback. And we'll talk about how each of them will alter the expectations for the Orange. Plus, a special message to Ohio State. Congratulations on them to win the national championship. That's coming up tonight. And then tomorrow, Syracuse Basketball is playing Clemson on the road at 7 p.m. Eastern, and there will be a full post-game reaction podcast. Thank you for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And for your second listen, you can check out the Locked On ACC podcast. Alex Dono and Kenton Gibbs, they keep it real and bring you the truth about where your favorite ACC team stands within the conference. You can find Locked On ACC on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Folks, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this podcast, hit that like button. If you really like the podcast, hit the subscribe button. Tell all your friends. And I will see you all later tonight to talk about some starting quarterbacks.